Alright, this is a video I wanted to make because of an experience I had with one of these phones last night. So this is going to be about the planned obsolescence and the hypocrisy of certain app developers who like to pretend that they care about sustainability when they really don't. So I got 7 Android phones here. This is a Motorola Droid Turbo with Android 6. This is a Samsung Galaxy S6 with Android 7. This is an LG G5 with Android 8. This is a Motorola Moto G5 Plus with Android 8. This is a Motorola Lex L11 with Android 9. This is a Moto G7 Power with Android 10. And this is an LG G8 with Android 12. So last night, after I was in bed, I had my main phone charging, which is the LG G8, running Android 12, and I wanted to order a prescription from Walgreens. So I went on the Moto G5 Plus, which has Android 8, went to the Play Store, typed in Walgreens, and to my unpleasant surprise, when I search for Walgreens in the Play Store, it doesn't show up anywhere. CVS Pharmacy still has an app that's available for Android 8, but Walgreens apparently not. Apparently they're too lazy to continue supporting anything older than Android 9. And I like to have the Walgreens app because I can order prescriptions easily, and I can also get notified on my phone when prescriptions are ready to be picked up. And it's not just Walgreens who's doing this. You can see I have Ring doorbell app typed in on the Play Store on the LG G5 with Android 8. And I have a Ring security system in my house. I got the cameras, the door sensors, the doorbell cameras, all that stuff. And the main way you control that is with your phone. And apparently Ring also thinks that if you don't have Android 9 or newer, you can't use it, because as you can see, it's not showing up at all as a compatible app for this phone. So that's also really annoying. And that is just out of pure laziness on the app developer's part. Now you'll see that I do have Ring installed on both of these phones with Android 8. What I had to do was go to Google Chrome and download the Ring APK and install it manually. Now this is not the current version. The current version is incompatible with Android 8. Just like I said, you have to get an older version, and it actually still works for now. Now I also have that on this phone. I installed the Ring APK on the Droid Turbo with Android 6, and as of right now it is still working. So we'll see how long that lasts before they say, well, you can't use it anymore because it's too out of date. And then another app that I like to use that isn't compatible with anything older than Android 8, so it is still compatible with these, but the Galaxy S6 with 7 and that with 6, it's not compatible anymore. It is the GE Sync app, which is a smart home control app for smart outlets, light bulbs, and stuff like that, and yeah, it doesn't show up on Android 7 devices anymore. It's nowhere to be found. So that's great. You have to have Android 8 or newer to work with that, and obviously it's not going to show up on there. Now I do have an example of an app that still is available on the Play Store for even older devices like this. And before I get into that, I just want to mention another one. Amazon, the Amazon shopping app, is not available anymore for Android 7 or earlier. Let me go look it up. Go to search for Amazon, and as you can see, we don't get Amazon. It is not available anymore for Android 7 or older for some stupid reason. Now the other app I was just about to talk about is eBay, and you can see even on Android 6 it is still showing up in the Play Store as an official app. Now the catch with that is it is an older version. I'll go ahead and open it, and you can see once it loads that this is the older version with the menu at the top. The current version does not have that anymore. It has all the menu navigation stuff at the bottom, like My eBay, whereas here it's, in that menu. So it's nice that it's still supported and they still have it available, but anything older than Android 9, this still has the current style of the app, I guess you would say, or current design. But if you go back to Android 8, and that reflection from that light is really annoying. If you go back to Android 8, it's the older style app, even though it is still available in the store. Another app that I use a lot is Garmin Connect, because I have a few Garmin smartwatches, and you have to use their app to be able to interface with the phone, so it can get notifications from the phone and stuff like that. And as you can see on Android 7, it's still available. But if you go back to Android 6, so if I wanted to use this phone for whatever reason, it is not available anywhere. You can see there's some Garmin apps available, Garmin Golf, and there's Garmin Clipboard, and I know there are some other ones that show up, but Garmin Connect does not. So you have to have Android 7 or newer to be able to use a Garmin watch with your phone. Now, one thing that's nice about certain app developers is that they will create a light version of an app. Like right here I have Outlook Lite, it's a Microsoft emailing service, and even though the full app is not compatible with this phone, they still create a light version that is compatible with older Android operating systems. It doesn't take up as much storage space and it doesn't use as much RAM or processor, so it's more suitable for older devices that may not be able to handle the full app as well. So I think this cutoff point where operating system support ends for certain apps is just ridiculous. It's completely pointless, and I think it's just a huge waste. The more you think about it, the worse it gets, because you got these phones with nice screens, nice cameras on them. You know, this has a great camera. Then you got these stupid app developers and companies who don't want to support the phones. So basically, when they stop supporting the phone, all that stuff that you have, the camera, the nice screen, all the other things the phone can do, you gotta throw all that away and buy a new one because we're not going to support it anymore. Too bad for you. It's just a joke. I find it to be very strange and hypocritical how people, especially nowadays, like to say how they're so concerned about sustainability and the environment. Then you got these lazy app developers who are the same people that are saying that kind of stuff about sustainability, and yet they don't want to support older phones. Especially a phone like this, which is more than capable of handling modern apps. And it's got a removable battery, easily use a replaceable battery, so if the original one goes bad, you just put in a new one, you can keep using the phone. Also has an SD card slot. I think that's very sustainable, but no, we're not going to support that anymore. You have to buy a new one if you want to continue using our apps. And I understand some old phones, like this one, at this point is getting pretty slow. It's fine if you restart it every now and again, but if you don't, it gets very slow. But phones like this one especially should have no problem running modern apps. And sure, the phone manufacturers could also be a little better with their operating system upgrades, and that has gotten better in the last few years, but it's more the app developers' fault for not continuing to support the phone. When I say that manufacturers have gotten better with their software updates for phones, I'm talking about the LG G8, which originally came with Android 9, and it's been upgraded all the way to Android 12 officially, so they are getting much better with that kind of stuff, with supporting devices. And the LG G8 came out in 2019, so for it to be updated all the way to Android 12 is pretty good. So like I said, it came with Android 9. The fact that Android 9 pretty much supports everything still, but then, once you go back to 8 it gets cut off, it's just an arbitrary cutoff point. It's completely pointless. There's no reason that Walgreens shouldn't be able to work on a phone like this. The whole sustainability thing that these people claim to be concerned about is all a phony act, in my opinion. Because if they really cared about that, this phone has a replaceable battery would still be supported. And I hear that the European Union is actually planning on making all phones have replaceable batteries by 2027, I think is what I read. They already forced Apple to put the USB-C port onto the iPhone, which Android has been using for years. I don't know why it took Apple so long. Well, I do know why it took Apple so long, because they want to be proprietary and keep people locked into their ecosystem. I really hope the whole removable battery thing comes back, because not having that I think is just ridiculous. Now, the nice thing about this phone right here is the fact that even though it doesn't have a removable battery, even after all these years, the battery life is still great on this phone. That is the Moto G5 Plus. So that's my video. Getting really tired of the whole planned obsolescence thing. I hope it goes away, because it's completely pointless. It's just a way for manufacturers to make more money, and the whole, like I said, the whole sustainability thing is just an act. It's a bunch of crap. Another thing that phone manufacturers need to start putting back in their phones again is SD card slots. This LG G8 does have an SD card slot, and it can accept up to a 1 terabyte SD card. It came standard with 128 gigabytes of internal storage. Sure, phones have a lot more internal storage nowadays, but it's still nice to be able to expand that, especially if you take a lot of pictures or videos. You can put it on the SD card, and that won't take up a bunch of the internal storage, and the phone won't slow down. It's another one of those planned obsolescence things. They think, well, people will fill up the internal storage, and then the phone will slow down and they'll want to get a new one, or they won't have room for their pictures and they'll say, oh, well, I should just get a new phone. So that's another issue that's going on right now.